Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Brian's Two Cents. So today we're going to go ahead and take a look at
Is my
polling, current polling as of August 1st, 2024, for the upcoming 2024 presidential election. So this isn't going to be the typical prediction video. I'll do another one of those in a couple days here. Um, excuse me,
Are you tired?
but I wanted to. Sorry about those videos that pop up, but I wanted to talk a little bit about election polls as it relates to the presidential election specifically, but really you can talk about it as it relates to any of the other elections as well, like Senate. Um, I don't know, they don't really, if they really do them for the House or not. I think they do. I don't know, or governor. But we're going to talk specifically about the president today. So as you can see, I'm on my 270 presidential election. And I'm just going to take a look at some of the latest election polls here from various from various pollsters here. Sorry about these pop-ups. I haven't quite figured out how to. So we're going to start right here. So some new polls look like they came out today as of August 1st. These are public opinion strategy polls. Now I don't know. Oh, it's political. Okay. Yeah, I don't really know. I'm not going to get into that, but we're going to start with the state of Wisconsin here. We're gonna do an aggregate of the polls here for the swing states basically. So for Wisconsin, you can see that the last couple polls here, the last couple days have put Harris in the lead in Wisconsin, 40 very closely. Obviously, it's within the margin of error, 47.4 to 46.8. Um, Before that, Trump was basically leading the polls, although not by a lot. 1 point. Um, well, that's other. Sorry, 1 point. Tied. 1 point. 1 point. Well, Bloomberg had him at 8 points. That was back on May 22nd. I don't think we shouldn't really pay any attention to that. Just looking at July and August here, really. Um, so yeah, I can say since Wisconsin's my home state, it's not really a state that there's a large part of the state that's red, of course, like a lot of states. I don't necessarily think that Trump plays the best in Wisconsin, even in those red parts of the state. Um, but really, why Harris went over the top here was like a lot of the states, the enthusiasm that Biden was hemorrhaging, frankly, about 2 or 3 weeks ago. And of course, Trump got a bump with his assassination attempt and everything. But you can tell, even in Wisconsin, he never had a huge lead here, unless you're counting that one outlier way back from May. But I mean, otherwise, it's been tied or he's been up by 1 point. So it just kind of goes to show you that my home state of Wisconsin is very well. I guess it's not very anything at the moment. It's just kind of people aren't really sure which route to go. You can see other, which I like to think is RFK Jr., my guy. Although I'd like that to be a lot higher, of course. But others getting at 6% there. But the point is, the average of the last five polls has Harris up by what? Like a little bit less than a point. So that's Wisconsin. Then if we look at Pennsylvania, which now Harris is up by three, which is kind of new. Um, let's see, 46.6 to 46 point. Well, I guess aggregate wise, Trump has a 3/10 of a point lead. She's up in the latest political poll. 48-45. Before that, he was up 50 to 46 for Bloomberg. Um, then it was 47-43, 48-47 Democrat. Fox News, it was tied. This is another state that's going to be very close. It'll be interesting to see if Harris picks Josh Shapiro, the governor of Pennsylvania, as her running mate, because Pennsylvania is a very important state. Um, but yeah, it's basically tied right now, 46-46. He just has 3/10 of a point lead in Pennsylvania here. Um, so yeah, that's Pennsylvania. Then if we look at Nevada, That's gotten closer. Trump's still got well, I guess he's got what aggregate wise, he's got a 3 point lead about. Recently, he's got a 1 point lead in Politico. Otherwise, it was 47-45 Harris, 45-43 Trump, 50-40 Trump. That's got to be an outlier. Well, I don't know. 12-10, 9-13-10. They can't all be outliers, but recently it's gotten. Oh no, I'm sorry. I'm looking at God. I wish I'd get rid of this other column. I'm looking at the wrong numbers here. 6, 9, 3, 10. So this one is an outlier too. I think no, yeah, I think Nevada's definitely closer than this 10, especially now. And it looks like Trump has a small advantage yet, but um, for the overall for the state, he's up about 3 points in Nevada. So that's a state that's still looking better for him since Harris has become the nominee. Uh, Now this is interesting. Michigan, Political had it as a dead heat, 45-45 with 10% going to other. Overall, Harris has about a 1.3 lead in the aggregate for Michigan. Um, this poll here that came out a couple days ago, this Bloomberg Morning Consult poll that has Harris up 11. Something don't smell right with that one. I'm not sure if they're sampling. They had to have oversampled Democrats there because you look at these other polls before and after, and it's 3 point. Well, let's go back to July here. 2 points for Trump, 1 point for Trump, 1 point for Harris, 3 points for Trump, tied, and all of a sudden 11 points for Harris and then tied again. Yeah, I'm not really buying what Bloomberg's selling there. But overall, you can see Harris has a slight lead. I mean, these are all in the margin of error. That's got to be pointed out here. And I'm going to say something overall about polls once I'm done going through these. I'm just going to go through Arizona and then the national one here. That these are just ones for August 1st, the newest polls that came out. So it looks like for Politico, Arizona still has Trump has a 5 point lead here. Overall, he's got about a 4 point lead, 3.84. This is a state that he's been consistently ahead, going back to July 18th, 48-42, 52-44, 49-44, 46-43. Here Harris was up 49-47, and now 48-43 in the latest poll, Trump. And like I said, about 4 points overall, as far as the aggregate goes. So that's a state that on paper looks good for Trump, although Arizona is kind of a tough state to really call ahead of time. Whoops, what happened here? Somehow I got all the way down to. Well, let's just take a look at the national poll, which now has Harris up by 2 in this latest poll. And actually, it looks like she's up by 0.3 of a point if you go back and look at if you take the last 11 polls into account. So going back to, well, geez, there's a lot of these. Well, yeah, this is a general election. So going back to July 25th, it was 46-45 Harris, 46-44 Trump, 49-47 Trump, 50-48 Trump, 47-46 Harris, 48-45 Trump, 2 points, 2 points, 2 points, 4 points by Harris for this poll from July 31st, and now 2 points. So again, all in the margin of error. That's what has to be pointed out here. That none of these polls that are listed here are the be all end all, so to speak, when it comes to the polling here. I'm not going to go back. I'm just taking a look at the ones that just came out today for. So I mean, overall, you'd look at this and say things are looking good for Harris. But again, let's remember that Harris is getting a bit of a shine right now because you had a candidate, the incumbent, that was hemorrhaging support even in blue states. He was hemorrhaging enthusiasm that he never really had over the last few years. And now all of a sudden, say what you want about Harris, but she's a lot younger than Biden. She's a female of color, which appeals to a lot of parts of the country, a lot of voters. But more than that, she's just somebody that can actually speak and doesn't need help off the stage, doesn't walk in the wrong direction. I know it's a low bar, but the fact of the matter is there's a lot more enthusiasm behind Kamala Harris than there was Joe Biden, and that's just the reality of it. It doesn't necessarily mean that she's going to win, And it doesn't mean that Trump's not is going to win either. Um, but you can clearly see just from the recent polls that Harris has made it a race. It's kind of what it was before the debate between Trump and Biden on June 27th. It's kind of back to like May, beginning of June, middle of June kind of numbers and polling and stuff. Now, I'm going to tell you why this isn't all that important, whether you're ahead in certain polls or behind in certain polls. Let me take a drink of my coffee here. So first of all, I'm somebody that I don't think polls are useless, but you got to take them with a grain of salt, especially when you're still 3 months out from the actual election. I think you could start paying more attention to polls after Labor Day because that's when the majority of Americans, the independents, the middle of the road Americans, if you will, like myself, really start to pay attention because right now it's still the middle of summer. They're on vacations or lake trips with their family. They're living their lives. They're not really paying that much attention like the diehard Republicans and Democrats are. So that's been proven in the past that usually after Labor Day, then you get more reliable polls. So that's number one. Number two, you have to look at aggregate of polls, in my opinion. You can't look at like one-off polls. Just like I talked about that 11-point lead for Harris in the state of Michigan. Now she might win Michigan. Michigan is a tough state for Republicans on a presidential level. Um, I mean, Trump won in 2016, but it was like 10,000 votes, basically nothing. But she's not winning it by 11. I mean, Barack Obama for reelection won it by 9. There's no way that she's outdoing him. So that's what you call an outlier poll, and there's a lot of outlier polls. That's why you shouldn't look at one specific one-off poll by any of the pollsters. Some are better than others. Um, what was like for example, Rasmussen. They do polls that are much more favorable to conservatives, to Trump. I think they showed that Trump was up 7 points nationally as of last week. Which I mean, come on, man. He's not up 7 points nationally. Neither of these candidates are. They're not likable enough to be up 7 points. And then, like I said, then you saw the one from I forget the polling place, the one for Michigan where she's up by 11. I think that's a farce. So you really have to take the aggregate. And if you look at the aggregate that I just showed you for these key battleground states, these 5 battleground states, and even the general election, it's all within the margin of error. It's all within 1 or 2 points at most. And that's at a time where we're still, what, 95 days out? 90, yeah, I think 95 days out from the election. It's August 1st. So we have all of August, we have all of September, we have all of October. I mean, you know, uh, countries have risen and fallen in less time than that. So I just wouldn't put too much into these polls right now. Even after Labor Day, when the polls start to make a little bit more sense from an aggregate standpoint, I still wouldn't get all that excited. Like if you're a Trump guy or a Harris person and Harris is up 5 points in Wisconsin, let's say, I I'm somebody that believes you've got to campaign and like you're down 10 points in every state. I truly believe that because I don't think polls are the be all end all. I don't think they're as accurate as pollsters like to believe. I mean, we've seen that over the last several elections. Hell, 2 years ago, Republicans were expected to have a red wave, and it ended up being basically like a stone ripple. Um, and of course, in 2016, Hillary Clinton was favored to win not only the general election, which she did, but all the states, which she didn't. And Trump ended up winning. And even in 2020, it was a lot closer than they were predicting. So, again, you have to take polls with a grain of salt. Don't take a look at don't definitely don't look at one individual poll and think that that's the poll to go by. Both sides tend to do that. Like they'll tout. I've seen Trump do that on the campaign trail over the last 8 years, where if it's a poll that's favorable for him, like let's say Georgia, he's up by 3 or something, just as an example. He'll say we're up big in Georgia, even though it's like 3 points within the margin of error. That's just how Trump talks. But or Harris and the Democrats pull out a poll that's recently released where she's up 11 in Michigan. You really have to not know what's going on with polling to think that that's legitimate. Now, if she were up by 11 in Michigan and the aggregate of the last 5 or 6 polls, now you have a little bit more of a discussion there. Although even with that, I would say that you're still too far out to really put too much hay into that. Wasn't there a poll in 2020 where Trump was down 17 in Wisconsin, like 2 weeks before the election, and I believe he ended up losing this. He ended up losing the state by like 1 point or less. I think it was less than a point actually. So I guess that's my point when it comes to polling, because I've seen a lot of comments online from both sides, either touting their candidate being ahead of the polls, or playing doomsday scenario like, oh God, Trump is down now, or Harris is down in this state, how can that be, kind of thing. And the polls are not the be all end all. That's my message for this video here. And they're definitely not be all end all when you're only looking at like one poll, or a poll here or a poll there. And they're not even the be all end all when you're looking at aggregate polls before Labor Day, when the election is still held 2 months after that. So again, everybody just got to keep it in perspective. I think polls can give you a guide. I think they can kind of let you know where the sentiment is in the key states. I think they can let you know what the key states are. I mean, obviously, in these states here, you see these 5 states. You're not seeing California, New York, Arkansas. States that you can color them in right now. Frankly, we know how they're going to go. Um, so yeah, I guess that was my message for this video. So I'll probably do more videos in the future. Besides map predictions, I'll probably do some other polling, especially as we get towards September and October. And I'll also be doing prediction videos on Senate and House as we get past August, because a lot of the House races haven't even been determined on who the candidates are going to be, and even some of the Senate races as well. And I don't like to just do a standard Democrat or standard Republican, because I think I'm an independent for a reason. I think the person actually matters more than the party. So that's why I'm an RFK guy for president. But anyway, with that being said, I hope you found this video somewhat useful. Please like this video, hit the little notification bell, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, for up to date and upcoming 2024 election related videos here. With that being said, I hope everybody's doing well, and we'll see you at the next one. Bye.